Hello, America. Welcome to the Voice of Freedom Radio, the voice of rural America and the state of Jefferson movement, which offers you liberty and freedom. Our studios are located in Alturas, California, right in the heart of Modoc County. Our environmental message is the 3Cs plan: clean air, clean water, and yes, common sense. We cherish our Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. We will not give up our God, guns, our property rights, or any of our freedoms. Our radio program can be heard on KCFJ AM 570 every Saturday at noon, right after Rush Limbaugh. Or visit our website, thevoiceoffreedomradio.com. That's again, thevoiceoffreedomradio.com, to keep yourself informed. I am Doug.
And I am Ross.
And I'm Anthony.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we sure want to thank all of you out there, you nice listeners who has been faithful and listening to us. And Ross, last week we had a lot of room. What happened this week?
Well, Anthony's back again. So the space in the room has diminished considerably.
Well, I get to take my half out of the middle, don't I?
Oh.
Okay.
Ladies,
Welcome back, Anthony.
yeah, welcome back,
Appreciate
Anthony.
it. Thank you, gentlemen. Pleasure
Ladies
to be
and gentlemen, we sure appreciate when people send us things and to let us know that they're interested in our radio program. And this has been going on now for some time. We got a good old boy down there in Sparks, Nevada, and he loves that cowboy poultry, the Western stories, and whatever. And Michael down there in Sparks, Nevada, we appreciate what you sent to us.
Thank you, Michael. It's really appreciated.
here. Yeah, very grateful. Made my day.
It's all really good, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, last week we was ahead of the national news. And
Well, we usually are, aren't we?
Well, in this particular case, we were talking about foreign countries taking advantage of our lands and our waters and our open door policies, for that matter.
what's really nice about it is, though, one of the national channels has picked up on this, and they're putting it out to where the people can really get the whole story. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's all about: is our government, evidently there's no law against it, but foreign countries are coming into here, buying up our farmland, and they're buying up thousands and thousands and thousands of acres. And the two of the countries that's doing it is, one is Saudi Arabia and the other is China.
Well, Doug, importantly, Saudi Arabia has purchased thousands of acres along the California-Arizona border to grow alfalfa. Now, intrinsically, there's nothing wrong with growing alfalfa, except for one minor issue.
What's that?
Our ranchers here in Modoc County and Shasta County do the same thing. They sell their product to the same countries that are now growing it on our soil and taking it home.
Well, it's been reported, Ross and Tony, that the Saudis used to buy around 175 million tons of alfalfa from mainly here in the USA.
Sure. That's gone south now.
Where? Which way?
South. It no longer is a market, and everybody's going to suffer for it.
Ross, I would like to say one thing to you and the audience out there, okay?
All right.
Tony's back.
I noticed that.
You noticed that?
Well, it just happens, I guess. Nothing I can do about it. No, but you mentioned the Chinese. I think it's passing strange that a communist country is using capitalist tactics to try to cut their expenses at our expense. It just turns the whole system on its head, which is remarkable in my book, anyway.
Well, it's worse than remarkable, Tony, when I think of it, because I realize that we are allowing foreign countries to usurp our ability to earn a living.
Yeah, there's a candidate out there that wants to stop that sort of thing. I won't mention his name because people get upset. They tell me that I'm advocating for a nutcase. But he wants to do something about that,
Go ahead and mention it, Tony. Who is it?
Let's see. It's the old card game. What was it? Oh, Trump. That's it. Trump.
Well, there's a lot to be said. But how long are we going to continue to give away our American heritage?
Well, there is something to be said for the free market system, but there's also something to be said for protectionism when our economy is being affected. We really need to look carefully at those kind of practices and make sure that we're not harming our own people first. We've sent jobs overseas, and now they're coming back. We've been buying their oil from the Middle East for years and years, and now they're so wealthy they can come in and buy up our property. That just doesn't work very well. In a capitalist system, it works nicely, but where they're doing protectionist policies and we're just practicing open borders, we're ending up on the short end of that stick. Like Trump says, we're getting led to the shed. We're being beat 6 ways to Sunday in all these business deals. We've got to treat the United States like a sovereign nation instead of a civ.
Again, we cannot continue to give away our livelihood.
Well, you're right, Ross, because it was reported that over there in Saudi Arabia, that's not really the best ground, and it's over there, and it takes a lot of water for this. But they've pumped so much water out of their ground over in Saudi Arabia that's been reported on national news that some of their aquifers are drying up. And now they're over here. They're not just over here. They're in Argentina. They're all over. And they're taking and using the water, which is, I think when we said thousands of acres, I believe that was around 15,000 acres that they got. And they're watering it. And coupled with the fact is, we'll take Modoc. Look at here. Like you said before, Modoc, Lassen, Shasta. Look at all the ranchers up here that raises hay. And right now, hay is on a slow boat to nowhere.
Yeah.
Or Saudi Arabia.
Well,
He'll be with us in a minute, folks. Come on, Anthony.
We're kind of getting the short end of the stick here. Modoc County, we raise a tremendous amount of hay here. Everything else that's we've had in our forests and everything else has been taken from us, but the hay industry is doing pretty well.
It was
doing pretty well. Well, it may not be so nice in the future. It's kind of a tragedy, very much a tragedy.
Anyway, folks, stay tuned to the Voice of Freedom Radio on every Saturday, and we'll keep up on this. Yep. But also, it's hit the national news right now, so keep up on it, folks. Don't let this die. Don't let it go away. And bring it to the forefront. And I can't understand why some of our Northern California politicians, which we don't have too many of them up here, I'm talking about
the one or two that we do have.
Well, yeah, I can't understand why they, it seems like they all went over to Rite Aid for chapped lips, but they got quickie glue or something. I don't know. It's they won't speak up.
Well, we do have one politician in California that's speaking up.
Yeah, we do.
We do, and unfortunately, I totally disagree with Mr. Newsom.
He is a nuisance. Oh, Mr. Newsom. I'm sorry,
Gavin
Ross.
Newsom.
Gavin Nuisance.
Yeah, right. Nuisance.
Well, he's the ex-mayor of the San Francisco.
What's he doing, guys?
Tell him,
He's
Ross.
going after the NRA. Well, actually, more importantly, he's going after you and I,
Our guns.
our ability to defend ourselves.
Second Amendment. Well,
He's making it seem like that in order, if you believe in the Constitution and you want to protect yourself, that he's put it on. It's supposed to be coming up on the next year's ballot here, or this coming year in June probably, or whenever it'll come up.
don't know.
Anyway, he's bringing it up to the people, and he wants to put a deal on the ballot, which would really take all your guns away from you. Period. All of them, folks.
I got a little.
You know, guys, when our local sheriff, our state sheriff's association, our Western United States Sheriff's Association are all coming up and telling us, don't let this happen. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
boy, I bet you next week in the local Modoc Record that man down there, the editor will have something in that, another good law coming up, because he don't like the NRA and he don't like guns.
Well, he's in the wrong county.
yeah. Well, maybe that's
Is there
why.
a county called Confusion?
No, there's a state of confusion.
Well, maybe that's...
I think we call it California.
Well,
I'm not
soon to become Jefferson.
Well, you know, that takes me to my favorite subject.
Go ahead, Tony. Give us a little of that, and we'll kick in on,
I'm concerned that the people aren't supporting the state of Jefferson movement.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. Apathy, too busy living their lives. They don't realize the dire straits that we're in. They don't realize that California is leading the nation in a slide to socialism. If you're concerned about what's happening nationally, just times that by 10 and you've got what's happening in California. It's frightening, folks, those of us in the northern counties should be rising up and speaking with one voice. We want a new state. We want the state of Jefferson. And my question to the people is this: what's it going to take for you to support the state of Jefferson movement? What's it going to take, people, to get you off your dime and do something, make those phone calls, donate the money, because we need money to be able to argue our issues in court. The people that have put this together have got all the information. They've got their ducks in a row. They're ready to go. They just need your support. So what's it going to take? Is it going to take the
5 phone calls a day?
Well, that's not much trouble, is it?
No.
Well, if you go to the State of Jefferson website, or if you go to our website, which is thevoiceoffreedomradio.com.
Yep. The Voice of Freedom, the Voice of Freedom Radio. Got to have that "the" in there. Too many people just type in Voice of Freedom and it goes...
Don't go nowhere.
Yeah, it comes back and says, what are you trying to do, folks?
So it's the voice.
The
of freedom.
Voice of Freedom Radio.
And then you can also, from our website, you can... we got a link to the State of Jefferson website.
Yeah.
And it's on there, folks.
So what's it going to take, people? That's my question. When will you realize the dire straits we're in? Are you going to just go along living your life and waiting till they come for you? What happens when they take your guns? Will you decide that you want to do something about a new state of Jefferson then?
It'd be too late.
How about just a plain old meter on your well?
Yeah. What if they put a meter on your well? How would you feel about that? Would you want to be in another state that doesn't require that?
Well, obviously Arizona doesn't require it.
Yeah, and the new state of Jefferson wouldn't either.
Well, the new State of Jefferson don't require a lot of things.
Well, what if they came and decided to tax your property? Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. We're blessed with the highest property taxes in the nation.
Oh, aren't we lucky?
Oh,
You know, that's what brought the communists down. They taxed the property until nobody had anything to give. They bled the rock dry, you know?
well, you know, Tony, that this SRA tax, they're sending it out again. The state Governor Moonbeam realizes that thing is basically illegal, but he's still going to kick it out for another year. And the people here realize that about the state of Jefferson. But when we go to the state of Jefferson, ladies and gentlemen, we won't have no SRA tax.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of taxes we won't have.
Well,
And speaking of taxes, take a look at what Governor Moonbeam's trying to do now. More taxes on fuel.
yeah.
More taxes on breathing clean air.
Well, I think if we got out of the state of California and became part of the new state of Jefferson, we'd see those taxes go down dramatically because we would not be carrying the burden of the multitude of programs that are coming out of Sacramento.
Doug, what about CalPERS? You've got some information on CalPERS.
Well, CalPERS, if you take, like, I've been asked by many people out there, what's happening here in the state of Jefferson? We brought people in here and had several meetings. We brought Mark Baird on this radio program to explain to the people what going to the state of Jefferson means. And one of the things that was asked about was the teachers who's been teaching here underneath for the state of California. If you live in Alturas and you're teaching a teacher here in Alturas and you pay your retirement to CalPERS, you can still stay here, and your retirement they take out will not go to the state of Jefferson. It will go to CalPERS. Now, if you're a brand new teacher and you just come out of college and you come to the state of Jefferson, that's a different subject. The fact is that you'll work here in Jefferson. They'll pay you your salary from Jefferson, and you will be on a Jefferson retirement program, which is more flexible than the CalPERS, because all the late reports on CalPERS, it's about 3 feet from a garbage can, and you may hear the lid come down directly.
Yeah, well, that would be a good way to, if you're looking to CalPERS to retire, it would be a good way to ensure that you get the most out of that you possibly can by moving over to the state of Jefferson. California is going to swindle you out of it.
Well, do you know the people here that's got businesses here? They're here in California, and they got in Modoc County or Lassen and Shasta and other 21 counties. They got businesses. And yet when the business owner die and they have children, those children, in order to maintain that business, I think the estate tax, death tax, is around 55%. But ladies and gentlemen, in the state of Jefferson, there is no estate tax. Corporations moving into the state of Jefferson pay no corporate tax. Can you imagine how many corporations would come into the state of Jefferson? What would that do for the people here for jobs?
It'd throw some badly needed fuel on the economic fire. The businesses within the state of Jefferson would be able to keep more of their income, plow it back into the business, give it to their employees, build their business. I mean, the northern counties of California, once they get into the state of Jefferson, will take off like an economic rocket.
Well, not just that. How about the EPA, our friendly Environmental Protection Agency?
What about
the
that?
Feds blessed us with? Do you realize that any state in the union can tell a federal agency no? Does California tell a federal agency no?
You ready?
No. Jefferson will.
Yeah.
You can take that to the bank.
Other people want to know about Caltrans, about the roads and everything. Most of the money coming to the states is federal money. And so therefore, when we go to the state of Jefferson will get their share, if not more, and of the Caltrans money. So, there's a lot of questions out there, but
My question is
what?
to the people: what's it going to take? What is it going to take to get you off your dime and interested in protecting what you have? How do you feel about it when your kids come home from school and they're spouting ideas and concepts that are completely foreign to your way of thinking?
Your beliefs.
Well, what if the state really came along and totally controlled? Oh, wait a minute! I guess that's what they're doing already, controlling the. You can't say anything to your child without running the risk of having your child mention it to a teacher. And
oh my God! You dare not spank a child.
The whole system's been turned on its ear, people, and we have a chance with the state of Jefferson to stop that dead in its tracks. We have the opportunity to change things. And so my question is, just like I said before, what's it going to take? What's it going to feel like when your kid comes home and tells you that George Washington and Abraham Lincoln were
drug dealers,
miscreants and criminals because they kept slaves or because they didn't uphold the principles of fairness and whatever honesty or whatever the terminology. How are you going to feel when your kids look at you as the enemy? Because that's what they're going to do. Don't you want to be out of that? Don't you want to protect them and yourself from that kind of intrusion? What do you think, Doug?
Mom and dads, what are you going to think when and it can happen right now from school, when your young daughter comes home and says, Mommy, Daddy, me and Johnny was in the shower. We took a shower together. Or I had to go to the bathroom and I went in there and there was Johnny, but everything went okay. State of Jefferson, folks, that's gone. The biggest thing with the state of Jefferson is the California voice of Jerry Brown and the environmental regulators and the state legislature will stop at the south end of the state of Jefferson. Think about it, folks.
How about all the prisoners that Moonbeam wants to release now, in addition to what he's already done? They'll stop at the southern border of Jefferson. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, the Sheriff Arpaio in Arizona has demonstrated that all you have to do is enforce the laws fairly, properly, but enforce them, and the criminals go elsewhere because they're easier pickings on the other side of the fence. State of Jefferson will do that. The advantages of going to a new state are innumerable. Now, the other side will tell you, oh, that's not possible. That couldn't be done. There have always been people that have been what they call them naysayers, right? They've always, you can't possibly do that. That won't work. Don't listen to those voices. We have a chance, people, to become free again. We were once a free people. We've been bound down by our legislators, by laws, by the politicians, and we've got a golden opportunity here to free ourselves from all that bondage and become free men and women again. We can liberate our children. You don't have to worry about them going to school and coming back with, well, Mommy, you can't tell me what to do because they told me at school that you can't tell me what to do, Mommy.
Boy, he sounds real original, don't he?
He does.
Yeah, that's
my point. What will it take to get you involved? When, in this litany of misdeeds by our government, at what point will you be backed up into a corner enough that you want to come out fighting? And I've got to tell you, if we miss this opportunity to create the state of Jefferson, a golden opportunity, it will be gone for good.
Well, Tony, you're absolutely right. You're going to get backed into a corner to the point where you will have no room to fight back.
Well, already the rancher's back is against the wall, and their bottom is an inch off the ground.
Well,
And you know that
But it's not just the ranchers, Doug.
I understand it. That's just for that particular group of people.
Yeah.
But when you talked about prisons and stuff like this, again, folks, down in Lassen County they got the prisons down there, and up here in Modoc they got one up there on the Garden. Ladies and gentlemen, when we go to the state of Jefferson, those prisons will revert back to the state of Jefferson. They will revert back to them, and most of them prisons this is California statistics. 2/3 or more of them people in these prisons are not from Northern California, and Southern California has not got no room for them. So the prisons go to the state of Jefferson, and they will become like cash cows. But see, when you got people that say that don't know what they're talking about, and they'll come up and tell you that that there's people out there that wants to keep California clean and whatever, and those last 2 weeks ago, Mark Baird brought it out distinctly that the people on that keep California green is a fact of matter. They are no more than Democratic chair members of the Democratic Party in each of the county, and you heard that right in the Modoc Record. But he won't tell you the truth, folks. No wonder, huh?
Well, the end result is that the southern counties will happily pay the state of Jefferson to house those criminals in the prisons because they don't want them. And
they have no room for them.
It will become a cash cow. You're exactly right, Doug. So, okay, Doug, I'd like to hear a little bit about the Lavoy Finicum situation. You've got an update on that for us, haven't you?
Yes, Tony, I have. The people that was arrested, one of them up there who is the Pete Santilli. He was the gentleman up there that was in the refuge that was broadcasting daily what was happening, and he was the one that broadcasted where they went over and the militia went over and talked to the FBI agents to try to get some sense and to settle this thing down.
So he was supportive of the movement. He was trying to get the word out what it was that
really was happening.
It was really happening. Exactly.
He was the one also that got was talking about how that the FBI people was over there and they was
agitating.
Well, they were impersonating some of the militia.
Right, and they were agitating the people.
Okay.
They were behaving obnoxiously.
And also
downtown Burns.
Yep.
And also the little girl, remember, 18-year-old girl?
Oh, Shauna Cox.
Yeah, Shauna Cox, man, she was cute, a little speckled puppy, and she was headed with Finicum up to John Day there to meet with
she was a passenger in the truck when
the gunfire
Lavoy
erupted.
When the gunfire erupted, that's right.
And they shot up that's when they shot...
well, allegedly they shot the truck. We don't know, but that's what we're going to find out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and also the Bundy people, there is an attorney. His name is Larry Klayman. And some of you older rascals out there remember, Judicial Watch, I belonged to it over the years. And he was one that was founded it and started off. Well, he's no longer with Judicial Watch, but he is asking the judge in Oregon that's overseeing the case to join that and come on the side of the Bundys. Well, anyway, Pete Santilli and Shauna Cox, they've got a criminal countersuit against all people, including the Oregon governor. This actions include the Harney County alleged crimes against the Hammonds, and boy, that's going to bring them into it. And
Well, there's going to be a court battle. The state and the federal authorities are going to be trying to prosecute the Bundys, and
Well, they're already talking about 90 years in prison.
it's
Why? Is it just simply an attempt to keep their mouths shut?
I do believe that, and this is my opinion. The people that was up there in Malheur, the Bundys, and the people that was supporting him never fired a shot. They went into town, they ate at the restaurants, they went into town and had meetings.
Yeah, they weren't holed up there. They didn't have barricades. They didn't
No.
have bunkers. The whole notion, as it's been reported in the news, is these people had a siege mentality. They didn't. They were just making a statement, and the press has blown it into some kind of a crazy. We're trying to take away the government's property here, the government's building, and that's
Wait a minute.
They
Wait
were
a minute.
making
Whoa. Who's the government?
well, we are, but you know what? That's how they frame the argument.
I understand that.
And we have no, I urge people to get informed about this and not just let it slide. I am pleased, Doug, that there are legal efforts being mounted to counter the state and the federal claims that are being made in all of this controversy surrounding that occupation of the.
Well, look at just outside of Oregon. We have the state of Utah involved now. We have the state of Idaho involved now. We have the state of Wyoming involved now. All of whom are saying BLM is wrong.
Well, you have to ask yourself, why now? Why are these states rising up? Why are these sheriffs banding together? Why is there discussion about the sheriff's authority? Because the federal is putting pressure on local officials and government agencies to do things that it ought not be doing. And the states are responding. This isn't a bunch of crazy people rising up in the western states. These are people that are being oppressed by their own government, and they're asking for redress of that grievance. They're saying, look, you're cheating us, you're pushing us, you're taking away our rights, you're taking away our ability to use our land, you're trying to take the land itself away from us. It's because of federal and state overreach that these states are coming alive. And you better pay attention to this, people, because if the states lose this battle, that means you lose.
See, Finnegan was a walking constitution.
Yeah, you was.
He knew about it.
He did.
He's got videos on it. On our website, he's got a video how the BLM was harassing him in Arizona.
Doug, he knew what was happening. You watched the video when he steps out of his vehicle. You see that video from inside so you could hear what he was saying.
Yep.
He says, okay, if you're going to shoot me, just shoot me. He knew what was happening.
Sure he did.
He wasn't just a constitutionalist that knew the Constitution. He was a man who knew the situation in the world.
And
he knew what they were there to do. He clearly understood, and he wanted to protect
the people in that vehicle.
rest of the occupants in that vehicle, and he offered himself. Shoot me if that's what you got to do. Shoot me. You know, if you can't admire and support that kind of moral turpitude, that kind of moral strength, if you can't get behind that and promote it, then we've already lost. People, these men are setting an example. There are men sitting in jail who ought not to be in jail today, in my opinion. There are people who are being persecuted, run off their land, forced to do things that they don't want to do by their federal and state government. And we're sitting around with our thumbs in our mouths wondering what we're going to see on TV tonight.
Ross,
Yes.
Is Tony back off the ceiling yet?
I'm sorry.
Well,
Hey, that was
Doug, I don't
what?
think I could have said it better.
No, that was outstanding. But the thing is, I'd like to finish up on this, is this. The Bundys with Finicum and that little lady that was up there teaching the Constitution to those people, and the Bundys holding meetings in town, the people were starting to realize that what the Bundys were saying had merit. It had law. And
It had substance.
that's a good one, Tony. That's seriously.
Can you spell that?
Yes, I can.
ANCE.
Give me a minute.
Is that good enough?
That's good enough.
But anyway, the Bundys and Finicum were getting a hold. They were getting the word out. Harney County, the people there that put the Hammonds in prison, and what they did to them Hammonds is criminal, in my opinion, okay? That group was going to John Day to meet with several hundred people. Now, why would several hundred people want to go to a meeting in John Day and listen to the Bundys and Finicum, and if
Doug-
they weren't interested in the truth?
Doug, John Day offered security, solace, and a venue to discuss what was really happening to the Hammonds.
Yeah, and the authorities couldn't allow that to happen.
They could not allow Finicum to get out of Harney
They-
County because the word was spreading.
They really had to put a lid on it. And you
They
know
did.
that they did. And it cost a man his life. And here's the strange thing. We have an amendment to our Constitution that allows us to speak our minds on these issues. But apparently the federal authorities no longer believe that's the truth. They believe that it is their right, their responsibility to muzzle their opponents. Whatever they're doing, they don't want it to see the light of day. And so they
Well,
took extreme
may-
measures.
Maybe the federal government is more properly referred to as the Gestapo.
You know, that brings up an interesting thing because our founding fathers talked about the same thing. And I can't quote you who it was, Jefferson maybe, said that the king had dispatched an army of agents to eat out our substance, to take from us what is ours, in other words. And they're doing the same thing today, people. And if we don't stand firm, if we don't rise up and resist this kind of nonsense, we will lose what our founding fathers gained for us over 200 years ago. It's that serious.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this Robert Lavoie Finicum, the tragedy that happened to him is spreading all the way to the East Coast. But the news media, the primary media, is not really picking up on it because it's all about who's going to be the president of the United States.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And you're right, Tony, it's an unfortunate. But this man, Robert Lavoie Finicum, was a true patriot. A true patriot.
Yes, and if anybody tells you anything different, you know that person is on the wrong side of whatever issue.
Doug, how does removing 4 dams on the Klamath River provide the ranchers and farmers with more water?
That's an interesting question.
Especially up there in the Klamath Basin, the KBRA up there.
Right.
I'd like for the people to ask themselves that and to see if they could come up with a sensible answer.
Well, I think maybe it's Common Core math that they're using. That would explain the
Maybe
discrepancy.
that more importantly explains why they had to hold a meeting in Sacramento rather than up on the Klamath River.
Well, and it explains why the meetings were secret.
Because nobody understands Common Core.
Well, it was secret because they don't want the people to know what they're trying to do. You know, that this is not government of the people, by the people, for the people. This is government by the regulators, for the regulators. You know, it's such a simple formula, people. You know, it's crazy. Upside down. Not the way our country was designed to work.
Here's what I can't understand why the people out there listening to us, they just don't get it.
Well, they
For
do.
the last 20 years, we've had bond issue after years. Prop 84, Prop 50, Prop this, Prop that. And they always start out, do you want more drinking water? Do you want more water storage, clean drinking water and water storage?
Yeah, but how does it end up, Doug?
Well,
We need more money.
Governor Moonbeam was pushing that Prop 1.
And you get less water.
Okay. But what was really sad about it was he knew that there was money in there to take out the dams on the Klamath. He even acknowledged that. Yeah. He even said that it was about fish impediments, to going upstream.
Yeah.
He knew that.
Yeah.
But on top of that, he still pushed it as the savior for us having more clean drinking water and more water storage.
Well, that just demonstrates the penchant of liberals and progressives for turning logic on its head.
I call it lying.
Well, it's probably.
Well, where was the money used? It wasn't used for water.
No, it was used for something else. That's why they wanted the money.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, we got 6 elected people in Northern California, 3 assemblymen,
that are supposed to represent us.
And 3 state senators, okay?
And
even the California State Farm Bureau supported Prop 1. Yeah. Who else? Mr. Dolly, our assemblyman.
Yes.
How about Sierra Conservancy?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
also,
you know what I have to say about all that?
What, Tony?
All we got to do is create a new state and we can be out of all that. We don't have to stress about it. We just make a new state and we set up our own regulations for our own benefit instead of the benefit of the politicians in Sacramento or the folks in the southern counties. I love them to death, but our needs and our resources are ours. They don't live up here. Hands off it, folks. Quit trying to take from us what isn't yours, what is really ours. We need to create the state of Jefferson to stop that theft.
Now you know why Ross said I brought up the names of those politicians.
I do.
He's back on the top of the ceiling again. This time he's hanging on to the
chandelier.
Yes.
Yeah, well.
No, that chandelier ain't going to hold that much chandelier.
Yeah, well, my propellers start to spin and I gain altitude. I can't help it. I am emotional about this, people, because I can see what's coming down the road.
And it's not pretty.
It's ugly as sin.
Say, Doug, isn't it about time for a commercial?
Yeah, but I got to wait just a minute. I got to get Anthony off the top of that ceiling.
Oh, okay. Hey, Anthony, why don't you get down here?
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Voice of Freedom Radio. Our programs can be heard on KCFJ AM 570 every Saturday at noon right after Rush Limbaugh. Or you can listen to all of our recorded programs anytime by going to our website, thevoiceoffreedomradio.com. Again, thevoiceoffreedomradio.com.
Da-da-da.
Ross, we're almost the end of the program for this Saturday. Do you want to have anything you want to say?
Well, I just, once again, I'd like to thank Michael down there in Sparks, Nevada, for his gracious thoughts and his sharing with the Voice of Freedom Radio. Thanks again, Michael.
Yeah.
That was nice, Mike. Very nice. Tony, you got something on your...
I already got it all off my chest for today, Doug. I'll have more tomorrow, but it'll have to wait for next Saturday, I think.
Well, Doug,
What?
it's that time again.
I'm waiting for it to come off his chest.
That's going to be a while.
Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank all of you nice people out there for listening to the Voice of Freedom Radio. We know you're there, and we're getting more letters, more feedback. Let us know where you're at and how far away that you can hear us from our studio here in Alturas. And Ross, I'm going to give you a chance to repent.
Repent?
Something like that. Lady,
That means back up the bus.
Ah, I got you.
yes, is he sitting in the back of the bus?
No, he's got to back it up.
Oh. From the land that you love and the God that created it. Good day, America. See y'all next week, folks. God bless y'all, okay?